Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity. I'm Reverend Jim Webb, the author of the book, The Soul of Prosperity, and senior minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel in Silver Spring, Maryland. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be with you tonight, and I've got a special surprise guest on a surprise topic. My question, as always, is what type of prosperity do you desire? Do you desire relationship prosperity, where you have harmonious relationships with friends, family members, as well as coworkers and casual acquaintances? Do you desire logistical prosperity, where your life just works well? Do you desire vocational prosperity, where, in the words of Florence Scovel Shinn, you produce a wonderful job for wonderful pay, where you offer wonderful service in a wonderful way, where your career or your job or whatever it is that you do is fulfilling and adds value to yourself and the world? Do you desire spatial prosperity, where the space where you move is comforting, calming, empowering, and balanced, thus offering you a platform of balance from which you can create your own prosperity? Do you desire spiritual prosperity, a deep sense of peace, or financial prosperity, where your finances are no longer a form of worry, but instead are a form of joy? Whatever type of prosperity you desire, for they are all one thing. They are all outgrowths of your inner state of being. There is a term called inner prosperity, where the light you are within, that is perfect, whole, loved, lovable, and complete, is nurtured, that every aspect of you might feel deserving of every aspect of your good. And when you are fully aligned with this energy of good that flows to you in infinite supply from Source, you can create an outpicturing of this good in your world easily and effortlessly. And you might say, Reverend Jim, if it's so easy and effortless, why does it seem to be such a challenge? And why do we do a show on it every Sunday evening at 8 p.m.? It is easy. It is effortless. What we have to do is remove any barriers to the easy, effortless creation by enhancing the tools that are hiding in plain sight that help us to create our. Now, one of the tools that is hiding in plain sight that can help us to create our prosperity is the tools in the form of cues that we take from our environment. Our environment can either support the creation of our prosperity, or our environment can distract from our will to create our prosperity. A chaotic environment cannot offer us the peaceful platform from which to create our prosperity. Yet a peaceful and powerful and empowering environment can help us by giving us a platform upon which to create the prosperity that we desire and deserve. So, one of the keys hidden in plain sight that can help us to create the prosperity that we desire is the key of an empowering yet peaceful environment. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The hidden key to prosperity, the key of our environment. And when I say we are going to talk about that tonight, I mean we because I have a special guest with me tonight. I have Sherry Burton Ways Stein. You knew I was going to mess with your name, Sherry.
How
You
are
just
you?
knew I was going to
What?
mess with your name. I wouldn't be me if I
Right.
weren't messing with your name. But I've been a fanboy of Sherry's for quite a while. Sherry came to the chapel years ago when she was doing her first book, and her first book, I'm not going to get these titles, so you help me. I can't see this thing. Help me. Your first book.
Feel good spaces, decorating your home for the body, mind, and spirit.
Now let me repeat it so this time I get it right. Feel good spaces,
Mm.
decorating your home for body, mind, and spirit. And that's when she came to the
That's right.
chapel the first time. And she taught me and many others your space impacts your ability to create your prosperity. But now Sherry has a
Mm.
new book out. Give us the title of that book, Sherry. The
Yes,
ritual book.
I have. It's a ebook, and it's called Inspired Sanctuary, and it is a book that talks about intentional rituals to create wellness in the home, for both inside and out, and it's free, and you can get it off of my website when you subscribe to my newsletter, and it talks about everything from movement practices to essential oils to color therapy and a little bit of feng shui, which is the ancient Chinese art of placement. And yes, you need to get that book. It is just an online, what I call a tabletop book, because it's not a typical ebook. It's about the size of what you would find in a tabletop book, and I thought I would do something a
Oh,
little bit different and to provide years of knowledge and experience to help people be able to look at ways in which they can create wellness within their interiors. I also even talk about yoga, for example,
mm,
movement
mm,
practices.
okay.
So it's
Okay.
an amazing book, and I'm so happy to share it with the world.
Yes. So now you understand why I'm such a fanboy of Sherry Stein. Congratulations on your marriage.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And now you know why she is such an expert on feng shui. My experience with feng shui is limited, but my awareness of its ability to impact our good is more vast than my knowledge of it. So I'll share with you my first exposure to feng shui. We were redoing the chapel sanctuary, and somebody said, well, the minute you step from the foyer into the sanctuary, the first thing you see is the sharp edge of a support beam. And they called that, I think, something like knives of death or corners of death or something like that. And what they said is, you need to round that off with some soft, smooth wood. And so that's what we did. We painted it a different color. We rounded it off with
Mm.
soft, smooth wood. We will put some pictures on the side of it to flatten it out a bit. And that really helped with the energy flow. So you weren't walking into a dagger of death the minute you stepped into the sanctuary. And you know what?
Right.
I felt a difference after we did all of that. And that's how I knew there was something to this feng shui. So tell us a little bit more, Sherry, about how our spatial environment can affect our ability to create the prosperity we desire.
Oh, that's just such a wonderful question, and I'm so glad that you asked it. And first of all, I just want to commend you and the work you're doing with the chapel um, and the foresight to include feng shui as part of conversations around wealth and prosperity. It's an awesome thing. Well, first of all, feng shui is the ancient Chinese art of placement. It goes back probably 5,000 to 7,000 years. And it is a art of creating good energy in the home for wealth, prosperity, health, and all kinds of different life goals and so forth. So when we're looking at what you're talking about as far as the energy flow, which is called qi or ki, and
Mhm.
that is, I always liken it to a little light ball of light that circulates within a space. And it loves round spaces, it likes round furniture, round objects. And what
Hmm.
you described was what we call Shaw energy, which is, as you mentioned, a dagger of death, but it's this sharp energy that comes from sharp edges in a space,
Hmm.
whether it's furniture, tables, what have you. And you were guided extremely well to round that off. Okay. Another way of dealing with those sharp edges would be putting plants around those edges as well to
Hmm.
basically fend off negative energy that's just going to go through that space and create just a negative feeling that comes through when you walk into a space with a lot of squares and sharp edges. So wonderful job on your part on that. When we're looking at the interior environment and we're looking at how it feels, intuitively, each and every one of us are feng shui masters, I always say, because you
Hmm.
know when you enter a space how it feels. You
Hmm.
can immediately figure out whether or not a space is just not in a place that you feel good, and that's how that feel good spaces came about. Whether it's the way the layout is, whether it's the way it feels, if it feels so claustrophobic, or if it's too spacious, if there's odors, if there's whatever, not enough light. So some basic things around that you don't have to be a feng shui master to figure out, and sort of as far as what you need to do to create a space that is powerful and is positive and can bring you prosperity by one, decluttering, making sure you don't have clutter in the space, rounding out edges through plants, or if you're able to round out um, um, tables and things with rounded edges, if you can replace them with rounded furniture. Um,
Mhm.
Lighting is a really big one as well, making sure you have all kinds of lighting. Like, for example, my space behind me here shows various types of light. You see um, natural light, you see lighting in the ceiling, you see some, I think you might see a lamp or two, but there's various layers of light. So that's very important as well. And more important than anything is surrounding yourself with things that you absolutely love, whether it's
Hmm.
colors, whether it's accessories, a favorite vase, art piece, what have you. Those are things that are very important in spaces. And these are just what I call universal um, elements of feng shui and understanding how a space functions.
So there are two things I want to get to, Sharon. One is,
Sure.
how does that affect the way we feel, and how does the way we
Mm.
feel affect our ability to create the prosperity that we desire? But before we get to that,
Oh,
I want
wow.
to get to clutter and decluttering, because that seems to be a something that is very important. But the thing that I and many of our viewers may struggle with is one man's clutter is another man's love pieces they love. So how do you discern when a space is too cluttered and when that messes up the energy, or when clutter detracts from the flow of energy? How can you discern this?
Mm. Those are really good questions, and it really comes back to your original question about how you feel and how prosperity works, right? So when we have a cluttered space, it creates stagnant energy, okay,
Mm,
within not only our mental space, our
mhm,
physical space, our
okay,
spiritual space, right? When
okay.
you are in a cluttered environment, often it's been found that there's more depression, uh, gaining of weight, and
Mm,
the stagnation of goals, personal goals, unfinished projects, things like that,
mm,
and that affects the prosperity of where you want to go as an individual because your mind, body, and spirit have been disrupted through this thing called clutter. So then when we're thinking
okay.
about this, yeah, when we're thinking about feng shui
Mm,
and we're thinking about energy and the
mhm,
circulation of that energy, it is going to automatically get stopped by clutter,
mhm,
which means
mhm,
nothing moves forward.
mm. Okay.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, if the energy around you is cluttered,
Mhm.
that energy or she can't flow on so many levels. And if that energy or she can't flow on many levels, then it can't generate, it can't create, it can't manifest
Mhm.
as easily. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Reverend Jim. That is it in a nutshell. So if people don't get anything out of this discussion, you know that clutter can prevent you from getting that flow of abundance coming in your life. And I'm not talking just wealth or money. I'm
Mhm,
talking about health,
mhm.
friendships, good
Yes.
relationships, romantic relationships. All of these things are abundance.
Yeah.
You know, it's understanding how your interior environment affects how you show up in the world. Thus, what is attracted to you as a result of how you're feeling, how the energy of your home is feeling, and everything else all comes together. And that's why I love this science. It's an art and a science.
And the science.
Mm,
What just
yes.
occurred to me was create a space that you feel like you want to float into and dance. I
Ooh,
don't know
yes,
where
I
that
love
came
that.
from, but if I am feeling that I want to walk into a space and dance, number one, I'm feeling I want to be drawn into it. Number two, I'm feeling free enough to dance. Number three, I'm feeling the flow of energy that energizes me to dance. I know that dancing is expression, is release, is creation. So I guess I'm asking, is a way that we can determine how conducive our space is to our prosperity, to look at it and see, when I step into this place, do I want to dance? When I step into this place, do I want to smile? When I step into this place, do I feel uplifted? When I step into this space, do I feel empowered? So, what are some things we can do to make a space feel that way for
Well, that's a great question. So it's a lot of layers to this, but I'm gonna give you some simple ideas. Of course,
Yes.
we've been talking about clutter, so we definitely wanna declutter our spaces.
Okay.
Secondly, we wanna bring in happy, joyous colors, and these can
Mm.
be brought in through accessories, such as throw pillows, such as an area rug. Colors, okay? Color therapy. I'm a
Yes.
big proponent of color therapy and have a background in it. Bringing
Yes.
in colors that are soothing, like your blues, your purples, and then combining them with some warm colors as well to balance the space, or at least the 5 elements of the space based on feng shui.
Mm.
Making that your spaces are zen. And what I mean by that, nice, clear, not a whole lot of clutter, um, uh, those kinds of things. And just doing what I call clearing of the space, okay?
What's that mean?
Space clearing.
What's
Space
that?
clearing is just making sure, and let me take it this way. A lot of times, what we have in our spaces is what I call predecessor energy. Okay. Whoever lived there before might have had maybe some energies about them that were, creating negative experiences or
Uh-huh.
experiences that did not provide them prosperity. You want to clear that space. You want to do that first before you even do any kind of feng shui.
Is
You
that a
want to
walking around with
energetic.
sage?
What's that?
Is that walking around with sage?
Well, it's part of that. It's
Okay.
also
Oh,
doing some
okay.
Reiki. A
Prayer.
lot of
Okay.
people realize, yeah, and putting forth energy. You can use crystals, you can use Reiki, you can use sage, you can do prayers. I like doing affirmations, and these
Mm.
can be done around what we call the Bhagwa, which is 9 life stations, and that can be overlaid on a floor plan, which would cover I don't care how many floors of a home. And there's a wealth section, there's a health section, relationships, knowledge and wisdom, career. I can go on. But what's really important for this conversation is understanding and making sure that that wealth section of your home, which is in the far left hand side of your
Yes.
home, if you're facing
Yes.
home where the door and the street is, that
Uh-huh.
area, the wealth area, is very important for prosperity,
Okay.
and to make sure that that's clear, that that's been, energetically aligned with a
Okay.
lot of the things that we've been talking about this evening, as well as the middle of the home, which is that wealth section. Another important section. All these sections are important, but I'm giving a little bit because feng shui is a big subject, and
Right.
depending on which school of feng shui you're talking about, which there are several different schools,
Yes.
people can get confused. But I'm just giving some basic ideas on some of these things. Yes.
They're wonderful ideas. And one of the things that just occurred to me when you said all of that, um,
Mhm.
it's amazing how a little element can make a huge difference, and how a little melt.
Yes.
I don't remember the exact word you said, but it was like putting a love object, something that you
Mm.
absolutely love. And let me tell
Yes.
you, let me tell you one of the things that makes me want to step into my living room. And every time I look at it, sometimes I actually almost tear up and cry because it just speaks to me so well. And I'm getting to a point here that I want the love object in that corner is a Tiffany lamp that I own. And everybody
Mm.
knows the story of my Tiffany lamp. I was fresh out of grad school when I moved down here, and I bought a home. And you know what happens when you buy a home? That first month after you have $151 in the bank and three Mrs. Smith's fish sticks in the icebox until next payday. So I just
Mhm.
bought a home. I saw this Tiffany lamp, and it was in a very expensive store in a very upscale part of town. So I knew better than to walk in and ask, "Do you people take layaway?" I knew they'd laugh me back out on. So I knew better than that. But every Wednesday I would go and I would watch the slam, hoping it wasn't sold until I kind of got enough money to buy it. So I bought this lamp. So this lamp is in that wealth corner of that space.
Mhm.
And then I
Alright.
saw these pillows on Amazon.com. They're just little accent pillows. And the accent
Okay.
pillows and the lamp work together. And it's almost like they pop together in such an amazing way that it just brings me such satisfaction. And this, the
That's
lamp is a
right.
love thing, but the accent pillows,
Mhm.
let me tell you how much they cost. $18 from Amazon.com. And the reason I
That's
bring that
right.
up is that to me taught me that there are small, incremental, and relatively inexpensive things that we can do that can have a monumental impact on the way we feel about our space, and therefore the level of inner prosperity that we feel, which impacts the level of additional outer prosperity that we can manifest. So, what are some
That's
of
right.
your ideas on small, inexpensive, and incremental changes we can
Alright. I love this, and I love this is my favorite, part of this conversation, is that things can be done to enhance your space inexpensively, and one of the best ways to do that is with plants.
make?
Bringing in the outside in, bringing in greenery. And you don't have to be a plant expert. There's a lots of plants that you can bring into your space that you can buy in just about anywhere. And there's a lot of plants that you can take care of that do not require a lot of maintenance. Okay. I have a lot of plants like that in my house because I'm very, very busy. The
Mhm,
other way that you can do some things is making sure that the lighting in your home is in good order, and bringing in an inexpensive lamp, bringing in a fountain, a table fountain. You don't get, those are not that expensive. Accessorizing like you did with pillows, great, great opportunity to do that. The other thing that I talk about in my last book, and I'll just throw this out there, is landing on your feet and putting down roots. I don't know if you can see it or not. I talk about the ritual of creating your own artwork for your
mm.
space. And to
Wow.
give you an example of it, my husband and I have this huge wall in our townhouse, and
Mhm,
the wall needed something. And there was some artists that I really liked that their art is very good, and but they're very well financially placed. So
In other
uh,
words, you gotta save to buy their art.
exactly. So what we did is we took a canvas and we just took paint, he and I, and
Mm,
created a painting,
mm,
and just framed and put it up there, and it looks just as good as anyone else's, and people just
oh,
love it. So these are things that you can do, create art, create,
mhm,
maybe if you're good at sewing, sew yourself a nice pillow, um,
mm,
get you some, um, um, window treatments,
mhm,
from Target or some of these other places. They're really pretty, nice, window treatments that you can just put up, some draperies. area rugs. What else? Man, I can paint. My
Hmm.
goodness.
Like one
You
little
can
accent
change
wall.
the Yeah, you can change the energy of your space with just paint. It doesn't have to be a big deal.
Okay.
So when people say it's too expensive and this, that, you gotta get out of your head a little bit and become expansive and think outside the box. What can I do to make it personal and to create, African baskets or baskets like when you travel, decorative
Mhm.
pieces you pick up when you all kinds of things.
Those
Another
are
way
love.
you can right, you can create energy just getting a diffuser and a couple of essential oils that you love, like lavender. That's my jam. That really keeps me relaxed and calm. And
Okay.
that's something that you can use all day long.
Mm.
There's different ways that we can think about our spaces without
Mhm.
feeling we have to be like a magazine or like that model home that we saw the other day when we were looking at houses or some of the television shows or what we see in Pinterest. You can also
Okay.
DIY. Wow, there's all
Yeah.
kinds of ways that we can,
So
create something. I see there's a question.
great. Yeah, we'll get to those after the break, but I want to summarize
Oh,
what we've done so far. Um,
sure.
if I hear you correctly, one of the first things that we can do is declutter to release
Mm,
stagnant energy. One of the
okay.
second things we can do is to bring in love objects and objects
Mhm.
that might be incremental, simple, or inexpensive to make the space pop. Like the thing that I described with the pillow and the lamp, and how that just makes the space pop, which makes my heart pop.
Right.
And then I heard some things about cleansing and rituals. And so we're going to go
Mhm.
on break, and then I want to discuss the questions that our guests have asked, as well as some other specific rituals that we can use to enhance our space and therefore our spatial prosperity. So we're going to go to break now here on the New Thought Media Network. We'll be right
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity with Sherry Burton Stein, feng shui expert. Now, there are a couple of questions that I'd like to drill down on a little bit. Rosemary asked, what are some key things that we can do in our space to apply feng shui in a way to offer more peace? Do you have any more comments on that? Peace, love, and joy.
Well, there's a lot. Yeah, peace and joy.
Yeah,
Sure that that I also mention is that the key to feng shui as well is to create sacred space for yourself as well. So, as we are working towards creating a synergy within our interior, it's important to create a sacred space for yourself. And that might be a space where you do prayer, meditation. It could be an environment in which you do sewing or something that you absolutely love and enjoy doing. That's very, very important. And I'm not talking about like a separate room. It could be just a corner in your living room or a corner in your bedroom, depending on how big your space is. Maybe you do have a spare bedroom or a spare place that you can use, but it's important to create sacred space. So I wanted to mention that as well.
yes. A lot of people,
The
Sherry,
other
a lot
thing
of
with
people,
feng shui is making sure.
a lot of
Mhm.
people
Okay.
go ahead, because you were freezing.
Oh, I'm good.
Oh, okay. A lot of people have a space where they put a personal altar. What are your thoughts on
Mhm.
that?
That goes back to the whole sacred space um, discussion is making sure that you have a special space in which you can worship, um, honor your altars. I have an altar in my space as well. And it's a place where you can just be yourself and where you can honor those that have come before you, your ancestors, your lineages, and all of those things. So it's very important to have that in your space because that enforces and evolves into good energy as well. The other thing I wanted to mention as well, a lot of people have pets. Pets are really great energy. It's really good chi to have a pet. So if you have a pet, that's another way to bring in the energy of love, abundance, and joy as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And now we had another question from Tracy, who likes to frame large prints of her photography in black and white. She's wondering if color would be better for mood and for prosperity in terms of the way she frames her prints.
Okay. Um, I like framing. You know what I'm into now is framing white on white.
So you're into framing white on white? Is that what I heard, Sherry? So it sounds like Jane Bat has photos of animals on the wall because she loves animals. And it sounds like that's a wonderful way to raise the energy as well. that is wonderful because she loves animals. So I'd be open to hearing from some of our other viewers what kind of love objects do they have in their homes? Because those love objects raise your chi and support your quest and your desire for prosperity. Anybody else have any kind of love objects in their home? Like Reverend Jane has pictures of plants. We were talking, Sherry, about love objects that many people place in their homes, like Reverend Jane and her pictures of her animals. And
Mhm.
and that was fascinating because Deanna has love objects from her travels as well. And that was fascinating.
Mhm.
So, one of the other things, Sherry, that we were going to talk about was specific rituals to enhance our prosperity. Any suggestions on that for our guests?
Yeah. Yes, I have several, and these are non-conventional, okay, in a space.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I feel is important for anyone in who has a home, apartment, or whatever, is to practice gratitude, to thank
Mm.
the space, thank the dwelling. Thank you for its ability to protect you, to give you safety, to security, and to be just thankful for its existence. It's so
And
important.
thank it
And
for being a piggy bank because if it's something you own, it builds you equity. Amen.
that's right. Amen. Correct. Because gratitude is the opening for prosperity. It's the opening for wealth because the more we are thankful for things in our lives, such as our homes, and talking to the home and saying thank you to the home is a ritual. So every morning when you get up and you walk downstairs or after you do your prayers and meditation and so forth and you're getting that cup of coffee or your breakfast, take a moment to walk around your space and say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for creating this wonderful space for me and my family to live. That's very important ritual to do each and every day. The other
Wow.
thing is creating rituals in which you are able to dance and enjoy music
Hmm.
in your space. It's
That's
not
nice.
just, and just celebrate the space. Celebrate your home. Bring in music. Bring in lovely sounds. Yes, crystals and plants. Beautiful. That is so important. And then I look at the ritual of loving yourself through your environment. You're saying to yourself, I love you, Sherry. And I love my space.
Mm.
And just having that reflect back to you.
Mm.
Another ritual that I do
Sherry,
as well.
Sherry, Sherry,
Yeah,
I want to take a
yes.
moment
Can you
to
hear me?
drill down. I want to take a moment to drill down on that because that
Mhm,
one is a little less apparent to our viewers, but so important. Love your
mhm.
space as you love yourself. Love yourself as you love your space because love is wonderful.
Love your space.
Love your space as you love yourself. Love yourself as you love your space because love is what I want to repeat that. Love your space
Yeah.
as you love yourself. Love yourself as you love your space, for love is what creates. And so anything that we can do, even if it's an $18 throw pillow from Amazon.com, to love our space a little more, appreciation, dancing in it, loving it in the form of perhaps some decorating or enhancement, acknowledgement, thanksgiving of the space, the gratitude ritual. We love when we love our spaces, we love ourselves. When we love ourselves, we love our spaces, and the two work hand in hand to help us create our good. I really wanted to put a really important exclamation point.
Yes, yes, and that is something that, because a lot of times we get frustrated in our homes. It's not big enough. It's not in the neighborhood that I want it to be in, or I can't. My kitchen is not big enough to cook meals, or whatever it is. And just taking that time, because our homes reflect who we are as individuals, and to make sure that we decorate in a way, not only that it's feng shui friendly and it gives us the prosperity and the good energy that we're looking for, but it's reflecting us as individuals. We're not decorating for our neighbor, or um, you know, family members or whatever. We're decorating for ourselves. And that's a big thing. When I wrote that book, Feel Good Spaces, it wasn't, it was about feeling good in the
Mm,
space. And using those five senses, the hearing, the seeing, the smelling, all of those things. And who are you? Really understand who you are and what kinds of decorating styles that you go for. Are you eclectic? Are you super modern? Do you like traditional design? And then, bring in those colors that you love. What is your favorite color? My favorite color happens to be purple. So I make sure there's a touch of purple somewhere.
mm.
And I see someone saying, I love objects and art. I love art too. And I create and make art, and I decorate with art. With crystals, yes, crystals are powerful energy in of themselves, and it's a ritual to place various crystals around your home to enhance energy as well, which is a ritual in and of itself.
Okay,
Can I talk
Sherry.
about hoarding and emotion?
Yes, let's
Mhm.
talk about that, Sherry, because I wonder
Yeah.
if when we are hoarding, we are also hoarding our emotions. Because when our energy doesn't flow because we are hoarding with junk, I wonder if that is an
Mhm.
outer reflection of our inner emotions not flowing, and therefore creativity not flowing, and therefore prosperity not flowing. So I wonder if, as the outer world is always a reflection of our, is I wonder if as we do emotional release, emotional healing, emotional cleansing, spiritual integration of light into those dark places to release those dark energies so that more light. I wonder if that works hand in hand with our external clearing or what do you think?
Oh, definitely. So when we're thinking about hoarding, first of all, we are tied to the past. We're
Mm,
not living in the present, okay? So we have an emotional capacity where we feel that we want to stay back there and not be where we need to be in the present, because in the present moment is the power.
mm.
That's the power to be able to um, create what we need to create in order to be abundant. So that's the first thing. The
Okay.
second thing, hoarding and clutter and so forth, as I might have mentioned before, can lead to a lot of stress and depression. So we're not thinking clearly. We're not in a really great space. We may be hoarding because of past trauma that has been unresolved. So when you have these things going on, you cannot be in a mental, spiritual, or physical capacity to manifest what's needed in order to move forward with your life. I truly believe that. And then there's that physical piece where you're feeling lethargic, you're feeling like, you're heavier, you're just feeling like, oh, I just cannot, I don't have the energy, right? It takes energy. Energy is everything. Energy is is in this computer that I'm looking at. It's in
Yes.
these glasses that I'm wearing.
So Sherry,
Mhm.
if I were to put this in a soundbite, move energy to allow energy to move and move energy. Let the inner reflect the outer, let the outer reflect the inner. Move energy and energy will flow. Let energy flow and your life. Does that make
Yes,
sense? Okay. So
totally, totally.
one last thing. What are you working on these days?
What am I working on? I That's a great question. I am working on a new 4-week program that will help individuals create feel good spaces in a way that uses color
Mm,
and how color can help enhance energy in individuals' health, wellness, and physical spaces. So it's a new program. I'm working on the modules now, and I'm really excited about it. It will be coming out this spring. So, Reverend Jim, what are you working on?
I'm working on a couple of things. I just completed the audiobook version of Soul of Prosperity, and I'm working on two
Mhm.
mini ebooks that will be available at the end of the year. One of them is bringing your vision boards to life, and that one is quite excited. And the other one is the alphabet of prosperity. And it's a small thing. A is for A. In each letter of the alphabet is a prosperity principle or a prosperity teaching in a bite-sized chunk. So it's
Awesome.
going to be an exciting next year, and we're going to finish it out with a bang this year. So I'm just so thankful that you chose to join us tonight. My uh, viewers are also very thankful. Sherry Burton Stein. It's always a pleasure to see you and an honor to see you. And when you get those modules done, let us know. Maybe you can test drive them on
I
the
would
congregation at the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel.
I would love to do that, and I am going to add your book in my bookshop as well, so that my community can have access to it. So I'm excited about your book, and I will be purchasing it myself.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
I'd like
Thank
you
you.
to sign
Oh, I would be so
it.
happy. That would be such an
Oh,
honor and a
yes.
pleasure. So thank you, Sherry Burton Stein. And the next time we get together, you're going to tell me about how you feng shuied your new husband.
Okay,
Okay.
definitely.
I said, girlfriend got married on me. So tell me how you persuade a husband. I'm sure all of our viewers want to hear about that. But until then, be well, be blessed, and be
That's
prosperous.
for bringing relationships together. So it definitely does that, and I would love to talk about it if anyone's
Absolutely,
interested. So
absolutely.
thank
And
you
until
so
then,
much,
be well, be
Reverend.
happy. Thank you. And we're here on the New Thought Media Network. Thank you so much.